East Hampton Village Planning Board, you are live.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Design Review Board. I call to order the Design Review Board for Thursday.
Village.
Wrong board,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Chairman.
Village Planning
The
Board.
Planning Board, I'm sorry.
No.
You
For
have no idea
Thursday,
how to lead
November
Diane.
10th. Thank you. We would like to welcome our newest member, Jeff Williams, to our board. The first item on the agenda are the minutes of September 8th, 2022. Are there any questions or corrections? If not, then I would entertain a motion to approve. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
The next item on the agenda is 33 Hither Lane, the Stone Free Trust. Billy Hayjack, could you bring the board up to date on that? Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Billy Hayjack for the Village. This was a subdivision application that the board has reviewed multiple times in the past. The applicant was required to secure variances to permit certain improvements to remain in non-conforming locations as a result of the subdivision. So the variances were issued. The planning board made a negative declaration and the application is ready for approval. And I believe a draft resolution is been presented to the board. If you're inclined to approve it, it's ready for that action now.
Great. Thank you, Billy.
Sure.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the draft resolution?
Can I just got
Sure.
one question with respect to this. With the existing detached garage containing habitable living space should be converted to an accessory building containing no habitable or living space. When does that have to be done by?
That has to be completed prior to the map being recorded. So that building has to be an accessory structure before they record their.
And the building inspector ensures that. Okay.
Yeah, they'll have to obtain a permit, like a demolition permit for that work.
Okay.
I've talked to the attorney, the applicant's attorney, and they were understood.
And they're planning to do that.
Yep.
Shortly.
Yeah, and it's called out on the map to be converted to an accessory structure. Sure. Okay.
Just to that point, Tom Prado, building inspector, just to that point, an updated certificate of occupancy was applied for just recently, and we'll be sure that that condition is met.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the resolution for the Little Plain subdivision. Again, Billy, can you just bring us up to date on that also?
Good morning, Billy Hayjack again for the Village. This was discussed at, I believe, the last planning board meeting or 2 meetings ago. This is a modification request to amend the subdivision and remove a requirement that all structures be placed in the building envelopes that were shown on the recorded subdivision map. A number of zoning changes have occurred since that map was filed. And so the changes that were made to the village code that differ from the building envelopes are there have been changes to the principal building structure setback requirements. We've now changed the way that the reduced, I guess you'd call it reduced setbacks, the way we calculate reduced setbacks. These lots no longer are eligible for reduced setbacks, and that's how the building envelopes were established, was using the reduced setback requirement. And we also have accessory structure setback requirements now, which are less than what the building envelopes on the map show. So there's a lot of confusion as to what setbacks prevail, and to eliminate that confusion, it's recommended to just eliminate the building envelopes and have the lots comply with the current zoning setbacks. So there's a draft resolution prepared for the board, which does that. It requires the amended declaration and restrictions to be recorded. which the applicant has submitted a draft form of that already. We're recommending that the map be amended to eliminate the building envelopes, and that can be completed prior to the issuance of a C of O for any house on the lot, on any of the lots. And then the other issue that came up was the vegetation removals. There were two areas on the property where vegetation had to be removed as a requirement of the subdivision, which hadn't been done until this modification request came. And so the area on Appoquog and where Appoquog and Lily Pond Lane meet, sort of by the Georgica Beach area, there was a sort of a window, a view shed window that was to be cleared. That work has been done. And then there was an area on Lily Pond Lane as you come around the bend where you could see into Lily Pond and the field. That area was to be cleared, and the work was never completed, but the applicant has filed applications to all the agencies to pursue that work. And the applicant has offered to submit a bond to cover the cost to do that work. So we're recommending that a bond be recorded. And then that work can be completed prior to the issuance of a C of O on for any building on the subdivision map.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Tom, any additional information? Any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. No, nothing specific. I think it makes good sense. It's a good housekeeping thing, I think, really, to bring it into the current setback requirements. We do have an application before us for a lot within this subdivision and talk about a second one.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Members of the board, do I have a motion? Any other questions?
I do have some questions and concerns. What brought this to light was back in 2009, in the original subdivision, there was stipulations that this clearing had to be done, and it was never done. So as a result, we addressed that at the last meeting. The areas that had to be cleared were the reserved areas and the contiguous village right of way. The reserved area from the survey I can see is very difficult to identify because I have a very small one. But the only reserved area on the survey is Appoquog into Georgica Beach, essentially, that viewing area that I think it's referred to as a viewing easement. And that's the only reserved area on the survey?
No, that's actually so that area is just a view shed easement.
Right.
The reserve area is to the east, and it's I don't know if you know on the south side of the pond, there's the little house, the Williams house, the cute with used to have the pink shutters on it. It's to the east of that property is the actual reserved area, and it is actually travels around the one section of the east side of the pond.
So the reserved area does not go across all 5 properties?
No. Those are just easements. Those are scenic easements and view shed easements.
Okay. So it's a fairly limited area.
Yes. It was supposed to be just like a kind of a pie-shaped piece of area that was going to get cleared.
And the contiguous village right of way is also stipulated that has to be maintained as well. That's along the roadway.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know that that's in this latest
Yeah,
version.
I think the area of the right of way is pretty narrow. I don't think there's a substantial amount of vegetation in the right of way. It's mainly in the reserve area. It's the Phragmites and the adjacent vegetation.
Right. But
road
should
right
it
of
be
way is pretty
included
much grass.
in the new or the updated modified stipulation,
Okay.
being that it was in the original stipulation?
Okay.
Also, in the original stipulation, there was timelines that it had to be strict timelines, and this was negotiated in good faith by both the planning board back then and the applicant. 60 days to get it. Now they have already put in for the DEC application.
Yep.
And can we put in there a timeline for when that approved application comes back, when the work has to be completed by? As that was done in the original covenant?
I believe the original covenant only required a specific timeline to apply for the permits.
No, it said it had to be completed 1 year after the permit was.
Okay. I don't remember that. But if you'd like, sure, we could do that.
Yeah, I think it's important to have timelines in there. Otherwise,
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no,
we tied it to a C of O. So if the next property owner wants to obtain a C of O, there's going to be an incentive to do the work.
right.
So,
But he could
you
move
can, if
in
you'd
without a
like,
C of O, correct?
I'm sorry?
He could move into a property without a C of O.
No, you can't have, no, I mean, not
Okay.
legally, you can't, but,
Yeah.
so, I mean, if you'd like to impose a condition that it be completed in 1 year, we could,
Well, you know,
We could do
being that it was in the original, I'd like to mirror that as because that's what we're working off of. So,
Yeah.
you know, if the original board felt that that was a necessary contingency, I think
Yeah.
it should be put in the new one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
paragraph 5 in the covenants and restrictions of the 2009 version. And the other question I have, Bill, how did we arrive at a cost basis for the performance bond of $25,000
An estimate that was provided by the applicant from a qualified,
for the actual cost of the work?
yes.
And who do we get that estimate from?
The landscaper is, what's their name? Yeah. So the MGD Horticultural Services,
Okay,
I'm
great.
familiar with them. They're actually doing a Phragmites removal project right now on Peconic Land Trust property
Oh, very good.
adjacent to Georgia Pond. So they're knowledgeable and used to doing this type of work. Is that? all your
No, that's
questions?
great.
Oh, okay.
The applicant an opportunity.
To address the
Yes,
board?
yes. Can
Yes.
the applicant, can you address the board, please? And just introduce yourself.
Hi, Elizabeth Baldwin on behalf of the applicant from Essex Hefner Angel. I just want to say thank you to the board for addressing this issue. One concern that we did have, I know that Billy and Tom both wanted to make a condition of the approval that we update the map. We had requested that we not have to remove the actual envelopes from the map itself, as that is a pretty large undertaking. We felt it, in order to address the issue, we could do it simply through the language within the covenants, saying in an affirmative way that the building envelopes on the map no longer apply with regard to this subdivision, you know, and whatever language that we could work out with the village attorney. This way, it wouldn't involve, since a bunch of these lots have been transferred out, we don't represent the HOA, we represent one individual lot owner. So we thought it would be difficult to have to undergo, which would require not only abandoning the underlying map, then having to resurvey the whole area and do a lot of extensive work, where we thought it was a simple thing that we could address by just putting an affirmative language that would say any future owners would know, because it would be recorded in the county as well, that these building envelopes no longer apply. I believe the village would obviously know as well. Any future building inspectors or down the line, years from now, would also know that these building envelopes no longer apply. The building department in the past hadn't applied them anyway, so they already had made that interpretation to not apply them. So we thought that it was a little onerous to have to get the map itself modified. That being said, if the board does require that we do this, we would ask that we have the ability to either work out a different method, whether it's filing a miscellaneous map, that then we would, we wouldn't have to go through the whole abandonment and refiling a subdivision map. If there was language, whether it be loose enough to allow us to work out a different way with the board and with the village attorneys and the building department and planner, of course, to be able to maybe amend it in a more convenient way, because it seems onerous to have to go through this whole process just to remove a map, remove lines that I think we can affirmatively address.
Are there multiple owners of all of these lots now
Yes.
and not a single family?
It's not the same family anymore. There's so the family does own some of them still, but I think two or three have been transferred out so far and are owned by different
Third
property
party.
owners. Right.
As a guesstimate, how many people do you think are involved on that end there?
It's three property owners and then the family owns the remainder of the lots.
Right.
But it's also then the HOA. There's an HOA which would actually be charged with doing this. It wouldn't be us. It would us being having to get the HOA to do this. So, I mean, we're just asking that if there's room in the decision to either, whether it's this or that, or find, whether it's amend the map prior to CO or, in a manner that's comfortable to the village attorney's office and the planning board or something like that, That's just it.
What's the specific suggestion in lieu of modifying that?
In lieu of going through the full modification of the map where we would have to resurvey and have to abandon the underlying map, is maybe file some sort of, whether it be a miscellaneous map that is approved that doesn't depict the building envelopes on it, and we could record it in miscellaneous maps. Then we wouldn't have to abandon the actual underlying map and refile and conform to all of the requirements of filing a full subdivision map. It would be just a map that's filed in miscellaneous. It would be recorded at the county, and it would come up in any title search or anything like that. Any surveyor would then be aware of it. And we could work out whatever procedures or requirements that that the village would want in order to make it.
If someone bought a property, presumably it's already been done
Right.
from the individual sales surveyor.
Right. Right.
Surveys.
Would come up. And then plus we would have, we could put affirmative language in the covenants that say specifically this language no longer apply, these building envelopes no longer apply that are depicted on the subdivision map. We could reference a new map, however we want to. I mean, those are details we could work out with the village attorney's office to make sure it's clear and everybody's on the same page. So it was just
Your client is the party responsible for the removal of the shrubbery or
technically the HOA is responsible for all of that. We are just one property owner within that. We've kind of been helping with the HOA to move this along in order to address the concerns by the village. But we don't represent the HOA. They have their own attorney, and but we are helping to move this along.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
So board member, Billy, do we feel that we need to add to this before it could be approved, this resolution?
Well, I mean, it depends on what the board would like
Okay.
to do. I mean, the way it's worded right now, the draft resolution is, I mean, let's back up. The whole point of this was to reduce confusion in the future.
Right.
Because it's been confusing.
Yes.
The idea is that if somebody is doing research to buy a piece of property, or if it's being sold or surveyed by somebody not from East Hampton, from up west somewhere, we don't want to have a situation where people are showing building envelopes and then creating confusion as to whether or not structures have to be in the building envelope or you can build things outside of the building envelope. And with regard to the lot that's already been developed, the house conforms to the setbacks. All the accessory structures conform to setbacks. A patio was built about a foot outside of the building envelope, and the then building inspector allowed that as like an error or something. So it wasn't like we completely ignored the building envelopes shown on the subdivision map. I don't. So
Thank you.
I don't know I don't know the implications of a miscellaneous map, how that differs from filing a new subdivision. My understanding is that you file a correction map. That's how I thought it was done. And I've talked to the surveyor about it, who actually did the original subdivision. And he thought it was the cleanest thing to do was to file a correction subdivision map. So, so I don't know. It's up to the board. I mean, I don't know if we can wait and ask the village attorney prior to the next meeting, if you'd like.
What does the board feel?
Well, I think the village attorney should weigh in
I
on
think
this
so.
for sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, being that there's a lot of confusion to start with, I kind of, you know, agree with Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the original recommendation was to change, you know, file amended map. That was the village attorney's recommendation. So if we can reinforce that recommendation from him for the next meeting, that's fine.
Shirley,
Sure.
Beth, yeah.
I would respectfully ask that we will have the board adopt the resolution as is, if that's okay, today, rather than push it off for another meeting. Because it's my understanding that you can't issue the building permit until this resolution is adopted. Is that correct? So yeah, I would respectfully ask then that the board adopt the resolution as it currently stands, as it was presented to it.
Billy, what's your opinion? Fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Board members?
Thank you.
Yeah, contingent upon the additions to paragraph 3.
Yes, subject to the clearing.
Okay.
So condition number 3 will be the clearing shall be completed within 1 year of the date of issuance of permits.
And add in the reserved area in addition to the contiguous village right away.
Yep. Okay. Okay, we can amend that for the board's adoption.
Thank you.
That's
Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll amend it and we'll go ahead and vote on it today. And then we'll show it to our village attorney or get his opinion, input for the,
No, they've reviewed this. so
Okay.
I'm sure it's.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so then I would take a motion to approve this resolution. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Okay. So this concludes our agenda for today. Any other questions? If not, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. I do have a second.
Second.
Great. All in favor? Great. See you all at the next meeting.
Thank you.